What's going on, everybody? Thanks for checking out the Among the Ashes podcast this week. We will be your hosts, Wes, Marcus, and Luke. Before we jump into this week's episode, we want to take just a second and say thank you to each and every one of you guys that's been following along with us so far. It really does mean the world to us. We really do appreciate it. If you guys are checking us out on YouTube and you haven't done so yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave us a comment. We do want to hear from you guys, and we do want to get feedback on the show. And don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you can stay up to date when we upload each Thursday morning at 9 a.m. When you're done there, if you don't mind, jump over to one of these platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or YouTube Music, and give us a follow there. It helps the show to grow. That's true podcast platform. You don't get the video, but you do get the audio, and you can download an episode from when you don't have time to just sit and watch the show. Also, if you don't mind, share the show with your friends, leave us a 5-star rating, and help us to get out there to the masses. And don't forget to tune in every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Central Time. Lastly, if you would like to be a part of the show, or you have a show idea, shoot us an email at amongtheashes@yahoo.com, or you can jump over into our DMs on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram, all searchable by Among the Ashes Podcast. So now that all of that's out of the way, let's get into this week's episode. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for checking out the Among the Ashes podcast this week. I will be your host, Wes. Marcus and Luke are being slackers. Luke has clinicals. It's not an excuse not to be here. Who cares about him furthering his career? And then Marcus's daughter's birthday was either yesterday, the 10th, or the 13th. I can't remember. Who cares, right? They should be here. No, I'm just kidding. We took the month of June and kind of gave those guys some time off and let them regroup. I know Luke has had a bunch of stuff going on with the fire department. Marcus has been doing his barbecue stuff. It's actually, I don't want to say taken off, but like they're dialing in their sauces and their meats and things like that. And he's come up with a logo. It's all pretty fire. I will say at some point they will become a sponsor of the show. Maybe. Speaking of that, let's hit up our official, unofficial show sponsors. As always, we want to hit up JJ Hatter over at Hometown Auto Sales. Not a paid placement in any kind of way. He's just a good dude. I bought several cars from him. So if you're looking for an automobile, hit him up, hometowntrucks.com, or just go see him there in Jasper, Alabama. If you've got any vehicle needs, anything you need done to your vehicle, repair wise, I can't talk today, go see Jonathan Sickle over at Bolton's Garage. And last but certainly not the least, we want to hit up the Veal in Adamsville, the Veal Cafe. If you guys like coffee, you like your frappuccinos, whatever it is that gives you diarrhea, if you like that stuff, go over and see Luke from the show. They have a coffee shop there in Adamsville. Most of you guys know this already, but go see them, hit them up, show them some love and support. Even though he never shows it to us when he comes here on the show, he never brings any to me, but it's okay. I really don't drink it anyway, but it is the thought that counts, Luke. It's the thought that counts, man. So yeah, go hit them up. And lastly, if you guys have not done so yet and you're checking us out on YouTube, if you don't mind, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave us a comment. That's the best way you can help the show, help out the show and help it to grow. Share it with a friend. If you're checking us out on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, go ahead and hit the follow there. Then jump over to YouTube and subscribe. And lastly, if you're listening to us on the podcast, any podcast platform that's out there, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we're on all of them. Go ahead and hit the follow button, leave us a 5-star rating, then jump over to Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, follow, and YouTube, and hit the subscribe button. All right. Now that all that's out of the way, I guess we can jump into the show. We got some interesting guests on today. But before we do that, if you guys have a show idea or a comment, anything like that, you can email us at amongtheashes@yahoo.com or jump over into our DMs. You got a show idea, you want to be on the show, contact us, man. We're looking for guests currently. And it just so happens that our guest today, it's just kind of one of those things. We've been talking about doing it for a while. And I don't know why, because I really don't like him, but his sister's pretty cool. We've got them coming on the show, and we're going to talk about their podcast and what they have going on. So without further ado, we've got Eric and Audra. How are you guys today?
Doing pretty good.
Doing excellent. Yeah. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
The Olive Branch podcast, right? That's y'all show, the Olive Branch.
Yeah.
The Olive Branch.
Yeah. So just for the listeners, and so the listeners know, they are not married.
Thank you.
They're,
Thank you.
They're brother and sister. Even though we are from Alabama, they could be married in Auburn, and Eric is an Auburn fan. So it's clearly upon Audra on the fact that they didn't get married.
Yeah.
Right?
I have standards.
Yeah. You have standards. I get it. Eric doesn't.
You're alluding I wanted to marry her or something.
Well, Eric, no, it's funny. Eric is a friend of mine, and we've been friends.
I think more of acquaintances is probably appropriate.
Yeah, acquaintance more than friends.
Terminology, words matter.
Right, words matter. Yeah.
Yeah, don't stretch it beyond what it is.
Yeah, so Eric is my brother-in-law's friend. We'll put it that way. Yeah,
that's correct.
He is not my friend, which I'm totally fine with. Doesn't bother me a bit.
A little goes a long way with Eric.
Yeah, for sure. But I've known Eric. We've been friends. I don't know, 5-10 years probably.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a few. They are from Hunts, Vegas.
I was gonna say too long.
Yeah, too long.
Yeah, it's time to wrap it up.
Actually, we are friends with his wife and children. We don't accept Eric at all. But yeah, so how you guys doing?
Doing great.
Pretty okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why'd you ask us to be here?
Well, because I didn't have anything to record, and I try to put something up week to week, and I knew we had talked about doing it, and Luke and Marcus both couldn't make it today, and it's like, well,
You are desperate, just scraping the bottom of the barrel.
well, it's a good thing that we only get 3 or 4 views per show, so losing 3 or 4 is not going to matter.
I appreciate that.
Well, we'll be sure to watch it and like it, so we'll double the views right there.
Well, the thing I've come to learn in my podcasting career is that your friends and family does not watch your show.
Oh,
They don't listen. My mom listens.
my mom can't listen.
Yeah. Well, she's offended.
She wants to go yell at Eric in person as soon as he starts talking. And we're like, literally the whole point of the podcast is to be able to listen to people and, have grace, give people some breathing room, give them space to explain themselves, and then respectfully, counter it. But she's like, but I just want to hit him because he says bad words.
Why does Eric have that quality about him? Like, he's just got a punchable face. You ever notice that? Like you just want to hit him.
You sound like somebody on the left. You're resorting to violence already.
Eric, I sound like your wife. I sound like your wife.
Our show, The Olive Branch, does hinge around political topics. We try to address complex political topics that are usually pretty contentious, and we try to address them in a manner that is respectful, peaceful, graceful. And I actually selfishly am doing this show because I want to learn how to do that. But we also want to just be an example and be the change we want to see, but maybe demonstrate that for others so they can go, wow, maybe it is possible to reconcile with my dad or with my brother or with whoever and actually have Thanksgiving dinner, even though we're on total opposite sides of the spectrum on the political aisles. So,
did y'all notice how Eric just completely deflected? Like how we were bashing Eric and just jumping on him, and he just took control. Did you notice that? That's why nobody likes Eric. Is because that's what he does. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, I get bashed so often that I just tune it out.
You just tune it out.
Yeah.
You don't pay attention to it now. So
water off a duck's back.
Right. So Eric, you're obviously a conservative, right?
True.
And
that's how I advertise myself on the show.
Republican.
I say I'm a engineered, married, white male, which is
you're the devil
in our culture.
Yeah, you're the devil.
And I'm as a conservative, born again Christian. And
man, you're ticking all the boxes today.
I am. Well, my sister is on the other side of the spectrum. How do you introduce yourself?
I'm a liberal atheist. I am childless by choice. And I joke that I'm a socialist and communist and just pretty liberal. I say I've spent decades leading small groups, Bible studies, teaching people to connect with God through God's holy word. And I've spent decades as a dungeon master leading magical heroes through the mystical realms of Dungeons and Dragons.
This is awesome. I've never had somebody in my studio that's so blatantly going to hell. Like never, ever.
Happy to mix it up for you.
No, I'm just kidding.
Wes, you obviously have the spiritual gift of encouragement.
I do. I do. Hey, there's no sense in sugarcoating it, right? No sense in sugarcoating it. No, I find that interesting because when we started the show, or whenever I started the show, I had the idea for it. And I've said it on here a bunch, but the name, our show, Among the Ashes, comes from the story of Job, right? Mm-hmm. And my thought process on that is, what if instead of everybody coming to Job telling him what he did wrong, what if they had just sat in the ashes with him? Yeah. What if they just sat and listened to him, right? And at that particular point in my life, it's not that I wasn't a believer. Like, I've always believed in Christ. I'm not saying I've never questioned him. I've questioned God. God, are you real? Are you really there? If you are, give me a sign, right? The normal, right? At least you turn away from the mic.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I've done the normal things that everybody does, but I would, for 13 or 14 years there, I just didn't care. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, I love Jesus. I'll tell people about Jesus, but I don't want any part of it. So in starting the show, I said, I would create a platform, and I would share the gospel, but I would give anybody an opportunity to come on. Mm-hmm. And not to try to change them, not to try to sway them, but just to hear their side of it. You know what I mean? Because while I think my side is right, I know my side's right, but while I think my side is right, everybody has their own thoughts and their own opinions. Mm-hmm. And that's what I remember, Eric, you and I talking about, you guys starting your show. And I just remember thinking, man, it's a good idea, because you've got both sides of it. And while it's probably easier for you to get along as siblings, it also probably creates a rift too, because you're not afraid to tell one another the truth. You mm-hmm. know what I mean? So, I mean, I think it's a good thing. I do think we need both sides of the spectrum. While I wish everybody would follow Jesus, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it if people don't. You know what I mean? It's not for everybody. I guess it is for everybody, but it's not for everybody. My prayer is that God's grace is just sufficient. You know what I mean? But anyway, we can get more into that in a minute. So,
a quick 30-second rewind, just to pick on your terminology. You said you always believed in Christ. No, you didn't. Because you have to be, like it talks about in John chapter 3, you got to be born again, born into the family of God. So at one point in time, you did not believe in Christ.
Eric, obviously he means,
okay, everybody, from here on out, what we will be doing is we will be talking to Audra, because Eric, with his tism,
you can lie on your show, but you're not going to lie in front of me.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But, talking about the genesis of the show, it really stemmed for me, really with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I wasn't a huge fan of Charlie Kirk. It ain't like I was
president. Bleep that out, right?
I wasn't president of his fan club, but I did see a lot of his shows. I was really marveled at his intellect, his logic, his bravery, his intentionality to go into be a light in a dark world. He was going to all these universities and getting a lot of pushback, a lot of resistance. But he was he's off the charts with everything I just said: bravery, logic, intellect, and it just hurt my heart. It really felt like, the Star Wars when they blow up the dang planet. I feel a disturbance in the Force. It just shook America, really.
Sure,
it really did. And I felt like I need to do something. There's a clip that Charlie Kirk said, it's not that the church needs to become more political. It's that we need to understand that politics has become more spiritual. And that just resonated with me. And I'm like, it convicted me. And, I'm not a bashful person. I try to carry myself with the same tune and conversation wherever I go. That's just me. But I did realize I've been quiet and silent in so many respects because everybody gets offended with everything. They get, and it gets bad real fast. And then I'm like, if I'm tapering off, if I'm pulling back, if I'm pumping the brakes, man, everybody else is pulling the emergency brake. So I'm like, so I wanted to do something. So I actually contacted my church, and said, hey, they got these Turning Point USA chapters, at colleges, at high schools. They have them in churches. I'm like, so I contacted my church. I said, hey, do we have a faith chapter to talk about these things? The church is called to equip the saints to do the work of the ministry. This is a pain point. We are weak in this area. We need to be able to speak truth in love. If the world turns to the church and say, where is God at in this position? What is God's position? We should be able to speak truth in love and not speak truth because we love to be right. There's a measure of grace that has to be present, and I don't see it.
Well, I think that's key right there, what you just said. We have to be able to speak truth and not be right about it. Well, speak truth and be right about it, but it's okay if somebody disagrees with what we think or what we feel, right? And that's the problem with where we're at in society right now. My opinion is the only one that matters. Alabama is the greatest football team ever. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Is what it is. All other teams suck. And if you,
as I wear an Auburn,
shirt. If you pull for Auburn or anybody else, you can die. You can die, as far as I'm concerned. And while in sports, I think that's one thing. But when we have transitioned that into society, it's become a problem.
Yeah.
And it is a very big problem we've seen in the last 10 years. And I don't know if we can accredit it. Some people want to credit it to Trump, and his divisive nature, while I do think he, in a lot of ways, he is a button pusher, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't care to get under your skin, and
he is the epitome of politically incorrect.
Yes. And while I love that about him, I also hate it about him. Sometimes you just need to keep your freaking mouth shut. You're the leader of the free world. Shut up.
I think what's behind it all is in our culture, in our nation, really, across the world.
Eric can't talk this morning.
Well, I'm trying to think of it. I got too many words in my head, and then I'm conflating them together. It's social media.
Yeah,
social media. We see some stuff, and we think, oh, I don't like that. I'm gonna slam them. Social media has dehumanized people.
Yeah,
and they don't see, hey, there's a person on the other end. They're just like, oh, this person's wrong, and they see them as incompetent or evil, like an enemy.
Yeah,
and then so they will just crush them and not think, hey, this is a person. They're going to be hurt. They're going to be offended. They don't care, and instead of feeling shame or guilt, they actually feel virtuous.
Yeah.
Hey, I did something good.
Yeah.
I crushed them. And it's the opposite. And to me, keeping it real, I feel like that scheme is Satan's scheme to fool us all.
Yeah, it's pride.
To be enemies amongst each other. Because what is the second greatest commandment? Love your neighbor as yourself. And we're not. We're hating our neighbor.
Yeah.
And Satan's laughing all the way to the bank.
Well, I definitely think it is part of his design and part of his ploy, in my opinion. Because what I think has happened is, I see there's so many what I call false ministers and false preachers out there, which we know the Bible talks about, right? And I can list them. Y'all can list them. And I there's a lot of them right now on TikTok, and I call them TikTok prophets. But that's not working. People are still coming to Jesus, right? Even though they're being taught a false gospel, in a lot of ways, they're still, the name it, claim it, grab it, blab it, all that stuff, right? So I grew up prosperity gospel, Pentecostal, Church of God. I'm licensed in the Church of God. But I grew up in that, and God woke me up a year and a half ago, I feel like, and I found the truth of the gospel, right? But we're only held accountable for what we know, right? Now, I do think it's up to us to dig deeper and to stop listening to what just a man tells us, you know what I mean? Figure it out for yourself, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. But I do think we're only held accountable for what we know. So I say all that to say, I feel like Satan has had this ploy for years where if I can corrupt the church, well, yes, he's corrupted it, but people are still talking about Christ. Well, now I need to divide. Yeah. I've conquered the church, and I feel like he has in a lot of ways. He's conquered the church, as in they're not teaching the truth. And now let me divide the people.
Yeah.
And when we go working against one another, I mean, the Tower of Babel is a proof positive, right? When you're working together, you can accomplish great things. But when there's division put in, you can't. And it's not just, I don't think it's just an America thing. I think it's across the world as a whole, but definitely Western society is extremely divided. And it's crazy to me that our generation grew up being offended, right? We grew up married with children, The Simpsons, Family Guy. We're an offended generation, right? But don't offend us, you know? And then you've got the keyboard warriors that would never say any of that in public to anyone because they're weak and they're cowards, but they'll bang it out in a comment. And you're right, Eric, it's because they don't see it as a human being. Yeah. And there's a great dissonance or a great divide there because of that.
I just walked a online liberal tightrope recently. I don't know if you guys have heard, it's been like on my feed a lot, but Nolan Wells in Mississippi, he's a boy on the 4th of July weekend, went to like an island off the coast of like southern Mississippi, and he rode out there with 3 of his white friends, and he's a black man or boy. Everybody's between like 18 to 20.
I think I saw this. And
they rowed a boat 10 miles out to the island, and then the 3 boys came back without them. And apparently they've had the cell phone, you know, allegedly, like they kept the cell phone and his keys, so they just left him on an island. And they were like, oh, we thought he went back with someone else. But long and short, it's pretty sad and weird and upsetting. And everyone's like, first off, if you go somewhere with 5 people, you come back with 5 people. Especially, but it was apparently parties were happening online. Long and short, that was online, and that's an issue. And people were just talking about it and worried about, like, one of the white boys, I think their mom or stepmom is a judge, and is it going to get covered up? You know, what's happening? And so I'm online kind of looking into it and kind of just keeping tabs on it. And there was a online journalist who's very amateur, but, you know, they're doing their stuff. I have considered doing stuff like that before. They were covering the story, and they called and they got a interview with the morgue or the coroner and got some information and did an interview and posted it online and stuff. And they were getting a lot of hate. And full disclosure, the online journalist is a trans female. And the people that were hating on the trans female were 99% black females. And I could not find what they were mad about. And at first I was just like, okay, 1 or 2 people, you know, just being trolls. I anticipate that. But it was so many people saying, basically, you have no right to talk about this. You shouldn't be getting in people's business. You're muddying the case. And I was like, I just have to ask, like, what is it you think they're doing wrong? Because I would see myself in a position of wanting to cover a case or help investigate it or whatever.
Yeah.
And long and short, after a full day of softly asking questions, because I didn't want to be like, black women shouldn't be having an opinion on who can investigate this because it's a black boy that went missing in a predominantly white city. But I felt like they were kind of dogpiling on a transgender person, and I couldn't see a valid reason. So I was worried it was just because they're trans. So I was like very cautious, like, hey, if you're just being a bully, I'm going to have to stop you. If you have a legitimate concern, let me know. Like if they should be canceled for some reason. But they were like trying to get their page like taken down and stuff like that. And it was just really weird. But I was like,
hey. Well, did they ever say what was the pushback?
They said the person, which her handle, the journalist, her handle is Penny or Penelope. They said that Penny is a white reporter, but she constantly puts herself in the stories of people of color, trying to monetize on it. And I was like, I get the suspicion. Oh, they're just exploiting people of color's, you know, tragedies to get clicks. I get that suspicion and I get that irritation that what if that's true? But you don't know that's true unless they've told you.
Yeah.
So you can't just immediately say, oh, well, you can't talk about it because you're white. I think, if anything, I've been trained to use your white privilege to bring attention to cases that are under the rug.
Yeah, well, what it boils down to is it's a white male investigating it. Trans woman, but it's a white male investigating it. That's what bothers them. Anyway, you look at it, it's a white male. I mean, that's what triggers them. So I'm going to say this, and this probably triggers a lot of people, but I can go back to the video and show you. A friend of mine named Rashad Dawson was on the show, and black guy, and he said, racism doesn't exist. I said, hey, how so? He said, you don't hate people because of their color. You hate people because of their culture. And that's true.
Yeah,
it's true. It's not a color thing. It's a tribal thing. You hate their culture. And when I thought about that, I was like, yeah, that's true. I hate Eric because he's a white conservative male. I mean, absolutely.
And Auburn fan.
And an Auburn fan on top of that. But it's very true. And that's where we've gotten to in this country. I mean, to me, that's a huge statement. And I know I'm not trying to trigger any black folks or Hispanics, African Americans, like people of color. I'm not trying to trigger that, but let's really think about it. I do know there has been hundreds of years of systemic stuff going on against people of color, right?
Yeah.
But really, when you break it down, I'm sure there are some instances and cases that people are attacked just because of their sexuality or because of their skin color or whatever. But most of it's just because you disagree with what they're doing.
Something that you just made me think of, which me and Eric have talked about it on our podcast, about the right versus the left. Like, it's ingrained tribalism of, you disagree with me, you're evil.
Yeah.
And I've jokingly said that's a feature. It's not a bug. That is by design. Rage gets more clicks than happy thoughts. And also, when you have people arguing over who gets to go to what bathroom or whatever, they're not actually looking at how much the government's embezzling out of the taxpayer money. Right. They're talking about stupid stuff that doesn't really matter, and they're fighting amongst themselves. So you have more control when you're in power. Yeah. And I think the racial divide is also a feature, not a bug. 100%. And it was just the other way to keep people divided and fighting about stuff that doesn't really matter. 100%.
I would never stand here. You mentioned white privilege just a minute ago. I would never stand here and say that there's not something out there that's truth about that, right? There are instances, I'm sure, where me being white has played to my advantage. But in the last 20 years, there's plenty of instances where people of color have had their advantage and their privilege too. Now, did they deserve that? Sure. I mean, you got hundreds of years of people who have put them down or not given them jobs or not whatever because they're a dirty black man, whatever, what I mean? Somebody will clip that and make me sound horrible there. I don't mean that the way it sounds. I mean, that's the way society looks at things. But we have seen a huge shift in that. And the problem for me is you can't go from one extreme to the other. You know what I mean? We can never, in this country, find the balance of just true equality, Now, I don't want someone of color flying my airplane if they don't know how to fly an airplane just because we need a person of color as a pilot, right? But I'm not against a person of color flying my airplane if they can fly a plane. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think what happens is you hit it, Audra, is that the government or the powers that be have to keep us divided. Because if they keep us divided, then we can't unite, because if we unite, we don't need a government. You know what I mean? And
we can hold the government accountable to do what we want them to do, as opposed to do what profits them the most.
Absolutely. And I wish, my prayer is that people will wake up and see that. And I think people are. I think that we're seeing more people come to that realization, but there's still a bunch. Like, there's a young man that is in our community that he and his two best friends, and I don't know, there's like 6 of them in the truck, 6 or 8 of them. I don't know how they got them in the truck, but they had a car accident, and they had all been drinking. And the girls in the vehicle lived, but he killed his 2 best friends.
Oh, goodness.
And this is fresh. This was last summer. Now,
did he pass away also?
No.
Okay.
He lived. So, Dad is a teacher at the local school. They have been very active in our community. Good people, great people. The kid has never been in trouble. Those 3 boys, if you saw one, you saw the other 2 from little bitty. I mean, they were thick as thieves and have been all the way up till 19, 20 years old when the accident happened. He just got indicted, reckless murder, with disregard to human life. Anyway, I can't remember the charges, but either way, he got indicted. And from the time that they aired the interview, from the time they aired the news about it last year, anytime they've posted anything, you go on there and you see a lot of sympathy from the white people. Some white people don't. I mean, they're like, hey, he did the crime, he should do the time, right? But the thing I noticed from the black community and some other Hispanics and things like that is usual suspect. That's their comment. Usual suspect. And I know why they're doing it, because we as white people, anytime there's a grape charge or a theft charge or something like that, and it's a black guy, yep, that's what they do. You know,
statistically, also, if a person of color and a white person do the same crime, even if they're both convicted, the time that they serve and the penalty they get is way lighter as a white person than a person of color.
I need to see those statistics.
Oh, it's out there. It's a lot.
Yeah, I need to see it. I need to see it.
Me and Audra argue over fact checking and statistics.
I'm not saying I doubt you, and I'm not saying that those instances don't exist, right? But I guess my point to it is, what does it matter? What does it matter? A young man did wrong, and lost his 2 best friends. Number one, he's forever in prison. Those 2 young men, hang on just one second. Those 2 young men will never go to his wedding.
Yeah.
They'll never hold his kids. He'll never hold theirs. He'll never be at their wedding. Like, it's over. Should he go to prison? Absolutely. Should it be for a long time? Sure, according to the law. But it's a human life. It wasn't intentional.
Oh yeah.
You know, and chances are he was probably the most sober of all 3 of them. You know what I mean? So he's the one that drove. Shouldn't have happened. Yeah. And he was driving 80 miles an hour. Like, there's a lot of things there that shouldn't have happened, but it's nothing no different than they did every single weekend. You know what I mean? Nothing no different than what I've done in my life. I just didn't get caught, you know, but the problem is we stop seeing it as it's not a human life. We're not talking about somebody who went out and, took advantage of children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It
wasn't malicious. It was negligence.
Yes. But usual suspect. And while that triggered, I wanted to be triggered by it. I didn't let it trigger me, because it's like, no, I get it. It's because of the world we live in.
I just have a clarifying question. His 2 friends, were they of color?
No.
Okay. I just didn't know if that was like part of the thing.
No. It's just the ethnic community, or the black community, really, is the ones that pounced. Usual suspect, you know. And again, that's, you know, it's not all black people. I'm not trying to say that, and I'm not saying that they're wrong for doing that, because white people do that too. And my point in saying all that is, why can't we get to a place where we just see people as people?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter where you stand politically. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. It doesn't matter what your sexuality is. What matters is your character. What matters is how you treat people and what you do, you know?
So let me go do a 30-second rewind and challenge a statement you made. You know, race is it's probably the most sensitive topic. So of all the topics that we've got in the queue to do at the Olive Branch, this is one that I'm very careful to address, because so many people are offended by it. But I'll try to unpack this, and I'll try to be vague to not trigger anybody. But like the statement you made was, it's not that people are racist against, you know, skin color. They hate other people's tribal culture. Okay, so I think I feel where you're going there. I would change it. I wouldn't say they hate it. I would say, because it's unfamiliar, because it's different, I'll say they're scared of it.
Sure.
They're afraid of it. And mostly because of their ignorance of it. They're unaware of all the details. And they do see a few differences in the culture, and then they may ridicule that and be critical of that, but not be familiar with why it's that way. So it's more of, hey, I'm afraid because it's different, and I'm mostly ignorant of it. I think that's what's going on, and then so different people respond to that situation differently. Some people, and this is regardless of race, and this applies to all races, not just whites. I'm saying all races, my theory is, feel this way. They respond to that situation. Hey, when I look at your culture and it's different and I don't know much about it and I'm a little scared of it, some people retreat. I'm going to stay away. I'm going to keep my distance. I'm not going to be neighbors with them. I'm not going to socially interact with that. That's how some people react. Okay. And then some people, hey, I'm going to voice loudly how I disagree with that. Okay. And those are the ones who stand out as open racists.
Yeah.
But those are really, I'll say in general, few and far between.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what really made me realize this is many years ago, I went to London on a mission trip with my church. And it was kind of interesting because I went to London. The people in London look very much like Americans. I mean, it's just and
fat, no teeth.
So
he said Americans, not Alabama.
Oh, I got you.
So it's generally mostly white people. Okay. And then you've got some mix of different races, but in general, we were on a subway and I was like, there's no way you could tell, but just by looking in the subway where you were in the world, whether it's London or America. I noticed that, but I felt very out of place. I felt very isolated, even though I was shoulder to shoulder with all these people that looked just like me. I felt very isolated. And I heard somebody talking over here, and then somebody said they were from Tennessee. And I was like, what? Are you from Tennessee? I'm from Alabama. We were best friends immediately.
Sure.
Just because we had that little bit of familiarity, that little common ground. And I was like, but everybody else, those were weird strangers. And I had my guard up a little bit, and it was just kind of weird. Go ahead.
I was just going to add something you said when you're talking about it's more the culture and it's unfamiliar.
Yeah.
There was also a big campaign through like the 70s and up until through the 90s where it was a popular trope to make the Black people the poor criminals in the scene. So if you need the businessman, oh, he's this white guy that looks like this. If you need the criminal, we'll get a person of color and what have you. And that was like, I think part of it's lazy, part of it, whatever, but it just was like the stereotypes where people who were acting in the industry were like, I just don't want to play a criminal again.
Yeah.
Like, I'm Middle Eastern. I just don't want to play a taxi driver one time.
100%. I blame Hollywood for it.
And I was going to say, like, I think that's one of the reasons why, which I think they've overcorrected, like you said, like it's the pendulum. They always try to go too far, but that's why diversity in media is so important, is so it's not this other culture. It's no, I've seen a person that looks like that in that area.
Yeah. Hey, elaborate on the overcorrection. What do you mean?
Oh, everything's a pendulum. Like there's just like, it went from nobody's getting cast to like, go ahead. Oh, sorry. I'm a bad person.
Well, that's because you're atheist, but not because.
Tell me more about overcorrection.
No, I think there was a time where every year there's probably 80% of movies is a white male lead. And then the other ones might be the cultural pick or the weird, there's different ones. And I would even say one of the other out of 8 out of the 10 might be Bill Murray's lead, but he's an old man. Nobody wants to bang him right now. So that's even an exception.
Yeah.
It's the attractive white man is the lead. And then there's the weird movies for the other people. Yeah. And now I don't think it's that much different. I think it's about 60-40. And a lot of people feel like, no, it's now 100%. every lead is a pansexual, transgender, Hispanic, Muslim, like whatever. Like
that's the punchline I was trying to pull out of you. Yeah. And I didn't want to say it.
But if you challenge that narrative, it still ends up being like 70-30, 60-40 at most.
Sure. And I believe that. I mean, growing up seeing, all the great 80s movies that were out there, right?
Bruce Willis.
Yeah. There are no African-American male leads, Now, while Apollo Creed was a specimen.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can't think of the dude's name. And a great actor. I can't tell you one leading role he had.
Carl Weathers.
Was that his name in the movie?
I think. Well, no, Carl Weathers is the actor. Apollo
that's
Creed's
Apollo Creed. Yeah,
yeah, the
Carl Weathers. I can't really think of any movie that he was in that he had a lead role in, but he played some amazing supporting characters. Does that make sense? Like he's just as much of a specimen as Sylvester Stallone is as far as a human being goes. Like chiseled, good looking man.
Yeah.
I mean, great actor.
Sounds like you got a little bit of a man crush.
Yeah, dude.
He has eyes.
Yeah, Idris Elba.
I mean, about that.
Yeah. You see the guy who played Black Panther, or you see Idris Elba. Some of those guys have had some leading roles and stuff now, but 80s and 90s you didn't see that, and if you did see that, if you did see him in there, I mean, Apollo Creed was the devil until the third movie, or end of the second movie,
Yeah.
I feel like Eddie Murphy and Bill Cosby were the two mainstream. Hey, I'm just an easygoing, likable black guy
but it was
that
because
white people
they were
don't have
funny.
to be scared of, and you can put me in everything.
It's just because they're funny, though, not because they're attractive.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Just they felt safe.
Yeah,
that's what I think they were marketed as.
And I can see why we're that way. You know what I mean? But instead of us attacking the system, we want to attack the people.
Yeah,
we're divided against it. And again, it's by design, right? Like, there's no reason why you as an atheist and me as a Christian can't have conversation. We can't go to dinner. We can't be friends. There's no reason why we can't. But because I am an over-aggressive Christian that wants to win you to Jesus, and you are just filled full of the devil because you're an atheist, we can't be friends. You know what I'm saying? And I told some guys at work this past week, I said, we have a safety meeting and we always pray at it or whatever when it's over. And it's like, if you don't want to participate, you don't have to. Everybody always does. Of course, Bible Belt South, nobody's going to say not to. Although we do have a couple of people, they're younger, they're probably mid 20s, early 30s, that I know where they stand. You know, it's, I don't care that you believe in God. I just don't, that type of thing. But, I made the statement, don't let, your perception of God be what somebody showed you, if that makes sense. In other words, I'm a horrible example of a Christian, right? Horrible example of a Christian. Don't let my actions determine your thought process about who God is. Because if you go read the scripture and you read it without a bias, right? If you read it in a way that, I'm going to go in and I'm going to read this not looking to receive anything from it. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to read it not looking to be mad about anything from it, right? Don't look at the fact, well, how can you serve a God that murdered or got rid of all the Amalekites, including the children? Well, you got to know who the Amalekites were. You got to know what they were doing. They were cannibalistic. They were horrible people coming against the people of Israel. So that's why God did it. He's not just a big, bad, mean God. You know what I mean? So, but the problem is we have taught that God is love. Jesus is love. He loves everybody, but then Christians don't show love. So automatically God's mean, right? So I say all that to say we form an opinion of who God is based off what man shows us. Well, we do the same thing with human beings. We form an opinion on human beings based off of what Hollywood has shown us, or what man has shown us, or what the news outlets want to teach us and show us, and you brought up the statistic earlier about African Americans having longer sentences and stuff like, probably a true statistic, right? But here's the thing, that's over and done with. We can't change it. We can't change what happened. All we can do is change what's going forward. Right.
I think we definitely should change that as a standard. I feel like there should be minimums and maximums, and
I agree with that, but we can't change what happened. All we can do is become better, right? And we refuse to become better as a society. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But again, I say that statement as a broad stroke of the pen, as in all oranges are orange, right? But not all oranges taste good. Does that make sense? So we want to paint it as this is bad, but not all of those people are bad. You know what I mean? They just, that stigma or that stereotype has got placed on it, and it makes it bad.
Yeah,
you know?
It makes it other.
Yeah. So we automatically want to shun it and do, you know, I'm from Alabama, you're from Tennessee. Well, these people are Europeans and they're weird, so I don't want anything to do with them. No, well, how's that going to benefit anything in society? You know what I mean? How's that going to make anything better? I had a black friend named Jimmy Sims, and we worked together, and he was putting a stereo system in his vehicle, and I went to his house and lived in Inslee. Y'all know anything about Inslee, Alabama? I shouldn't be there. I just shouldn't.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
If I am, I'm probably there to buy dope or something bad, right? So we're out there and we're working on his vehicle, and Jimmy and I mean, we were buddies. He's a good dude. I loved him. He loved me. And his grandmother, he goes inside, and his grandmother comes outside, and she's 90 if she's a day old. And she's so old, her eyes had gone from dark brown to blue. I mean, she was old. And she said, "Hey, baby, you hungry?" I said, "No, ma'am, I'm good." And she said, "Well, you want something to drink?" I said, "No, ma'am, I'm good." She said, "Well, you need to get your white A in this house." And I looked at her, and she said, "You the wrong color. You can't be out here. The police gonna stop by, or somebody gonna shoot you, baby. You can't be out here." And she cooked the most amazing meal, fed me. I mean, they were great people, but it's sad that I, as a white man, can't be there. While flip that, him coming to corner would have drawn a lot of suspicion. I had some friends of mine, Art Ruff and Big Salty, on the show, and they have a podcast. And I told them, I said, "Look, I live in the country. That's all I'm going to say." Well, when they pulled up, they looked around. They're like, "We shouldn't be here." I was like, "It's okay. There's a black family lives down the street. You're good." You know, but it's sad that we feel that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That I can't be somewhere because of my skin color, you know?
I think it's just like what we said. When people are different, we feel unfamiliar, and then there's just this barrier. There's this guard. Now, some people would call that, like, even that, racism. I dare say everybody feels that way to some degree.
Sure.
But it's hard to even say that without people demonizing that, like you're evil, like you're racist. And I think it's just natural. I remember a story. I was talking to a coworker. This is many years ago. Black gentleman. Just we traveled together for work, and we would talk about these things. And I remember telling him how I had to go to Walmart late one night, and it was late. It was like, I don't know, 11:30 or something. You know, it's open all night. And in line was a young black man who had his pants sagging, showing his underwear, and just looked a little sketchy to me. And it had me on guard. I was like, just because I don't dress like that, and it's different. And I don't know, just had me on guard. And I was telling him about it, and I said, do you feel that way around people like that? And he laughed. He said, "No." He goes, "I grew up in that." He goes, "I wouldn't think anything of that at all." And we just kind of boggled. I said, "Well, what would put you on edge?" He said, "If I saw a white boy with a cowboy hat."
Yeah.
He said, "I'm in full alert."
Yeah.
And that baffled me. I'm like, I would think zero of that.
Yeah.
I would be more uncomfortable with a cowboy.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
No, you actually said something I was going to bring up. In 9th grade, there was a boy who they said moved to America from Canada. That's not accurate. He actually had gone here his whole time. He had just come back from visiting family in Canada. But they asked people to give him a tour around the school because he was coming like a week late or something. And me and my friend, we raised our hands. We were like, "We'll do it." And he is still one of my best friends to this day. Was like 6'1", built like a refrigerator, dark-skinned black man. And something funny that happened to me in the middle of the night at Walmart, because it was 24 hours back in the day, is I had just got through playing Dungeons and Dragons, and it was like 2 in the morning on a Saturday, or Sunday morning. And I was going to Walmart to grab something on my way home from playing D&D. And I looked across the parking lot, got excited, and trotted my happy little self into the parking lot to chase down a tall, dark-skinned black man. And he looked at me like I was a wild animal that just got out of a cage. Like, what's happening? And I was like, I'm so sorry. I thought you were my best friend. I just saw you from a distance, the height, the build, and I thought about it when I turned around to go back in. I was like, he probably has never had that happen. But because I have such a close familiarity with one person that, I was like, oh, that's I was like, that's so funny. Just a little white girl's cornering him in a parking lot. Yeah. Because I'm 5'3".
Well, but that's the thing, right? So I've grown up my entire life terrified of snakes, like intrigued by them, like love to look at them, but terrified of them. Do not want to touch one. Do not want to be in a room with them. And especially venomous snakes, right? All venomous snakes they're deadly. Kill them on sight, right? Well, and thankful to YouTube and these people, these creators, while they're stupid, in my opinion, and they'll tell you they're stupid, like don't do what I'm doing. They have shown me that number one, snakes are beneficial. They're very beneficial. But number two, that just because they're venomous doesn't mean they're wanting to kill you.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they just want to get away from you. They don't really want anything to do with you. But I watch these guys handle king cobras. I watch them handle rattlesnakes. You name it. Some of the most deadly snakes in the world, they handle them like they're puppy dogs. Now, full disclosure, they'll tell you this snake could bite me at any moment.
Yeah.
Alligators too. It could turn on me at any moment, but we have built a trust between one another. I am dangerous to it. It is dangerous to me. It's worth the risk for me to make the money and the content and have the relationship with this animal that I have. And it's worth the risk to them because I feed them and I have never hurt them. And that's the thing, is why do we automatically form an opinion based off of what we've heard? And I'm not saying we shouldn't be on guard, right?
Yeah.
I'm on guard with everybody, especially since I had children, right? So I'm not just going to let my kids go up and talk to Eric because he's in his khakis and his loafers and he looks like, dad of all dads, right? I'm not going to do that. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to know
your
that.
Daddy.
Yeah. You wish you were my daddy.
Yeah.
I was 2 cents away from being yours.
Keep it in check, son.
I can't say that because she's your sister and that's talking about her mother now, not just yours. But we form an opinion too quickly without, and I'm not saying we shouldn't be on guard. I think you should be on guard.
You are going right where I was wanting to take this, because we talked about, hey, there's this barrier, there's this, we feel inferior or not inferior. We feel just, ignorant, unaware. We're scared.
Apprehensive.
Apprehensive is the word. What's the fix? How do we overcome this as a society? I think the answer is this: quit assuming everybody's racist. Yeah. Quit judging them as racist. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Stop doing that. Because if you look at it, for you to think somebody is racist, you're looking at a heart issue. You're looking at motive. Yes. You don't know that unless they raise their hand and say, hello, I am racist. I think your race is less than mine, and I don't like you, and I don't like anybody in your race. Unless they say that, which practically nobody does. I'm sure you got statistics of how many actually do, and it's a lot larger than I think. But the point is, what was the guy that, hey, I can't breathe.
Eric.
No, George Floyd.
George Floyd.
Thank you.
This was so blatant to me when I first saw that. It was on the news. It showed him standing over him. George Floyd's on the ground. I think he's handcuffed behind his back, and the guy's got his foot on his neck, and he's saying, I can't breathe. And everybody, the social media, it was rampant, this racist cop. And immediately I was like, how in the world do you know he's racist?
Yeah.
That is so presumptuous. He's a cop. he's obviously he's done some sort of crime, and he's been taken into custody. Why are you bringing race into this other than the obvious they're different races? But how in the world do you know his heart? To me, what's so
I can answer that.
Okay, well, I'll get your answer, but to me, it's blatantly obvious. You got to use force to take somebody into custody. To apprehend somebody, you have to use force. The guy's saying he can't breathe. I would like to hear this guy's testimony. How many years have you been a cop? How many times do they say, oh, the handcuffs are too tight. Oh, that's hurting my arm. Oh, I can't breathe. Oh, whatever. And they soften up to get leverage so they can combat you,
I'll have to argue too. If you're talking, you can breathe, but anyway, go ahead.
And exactly. And then who knows? Maybe he's just a jerk. Maybe he's just a mean jerk, and he's a cop. And guess what? He would do the exact same thing to me as a white male. And it's irrelevant what their skin color is. That's just how he does it.
Sure.
I mean, so to me, it's what you said. Quit being so presumptuous. Quit going straight to, well, race is the motive. Give them the benefit of the doubt, and I think it'll free up a lot of this contention. What were you going to say? Why?
I believe the cop was officially convicted that he used excessive force and he did kill the guy. So it was an actual murder conviction.
Okay, I
believe so.
Do you realize that you did not say he's racist?
Oh, no. The reason why he's racist is the guy that he killed had sold hand-rolled cigarettes or like loose cigarettes to people. So he'd buy a pack of cigarettes and would sell cigarettes to people walking by for like 50 cents. I don't know. Is that worthy of putting the guy to the ground?
No, but his rap sheet before that was.
Right.
The fact that he was a known drug dealer.
Let's slow down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize none of this has anything to do with race?
It has to do with his actions.
I think if I was doing the same thing, I wouldn't get treated that way.
If they knew you, I think
in general, the higher percentage, and this is something I'm really big in the TV series, The Vampire Lestat, Interview with the Vampire's third season. It's amazing. It's very gay. Watch it. It's so good. It's such art. Anyways, I say all that to say
we'll be cutting that out. No, I'm just kidding. No. I'm just kidding.
It's really good.
Please add in the comments if she sold you on this marketing with "it's so gay."
Oh no, like this is one of those things where like statistically there should be one heterosexual person around. It's just not happening. Anyways, long and short, when they start getting the flack for being vampires and the society's like crawling in on them and like realizing something's weird, they're like, okay, we can't do this anymore. We need to, only do kills outside of New Orleans, only do undesirables. And same thing with Jeffrey Dahmer. He would pick people of color and people in poor neighborhoods because less people with power will be looking for them to take me on. Well, so I, in general, will be looked at as middle-aged, middle-class white woman. She probably could get a lawyer, or she might know someone who could do something.
I can see your argument on that, but in the case of George Floyd, he was known in that community. Those police officers had dealt with him before. They knew he sold drugs. They knew he bought drugs. They knew his character, right? So regardless if they picked him up for selling loose cigarettes or something minor, they knew his background and his history.
And he was a rough cookie.
So at that point, you treat him that way, right? Is that right? No. You know what I mean? But if you take the guy who breaks into my house 10 times and the guy who breaks into my house once, they're both getting the same treatment. You know what I'm saying? Because they broke into my house, right? So by the letter of the law, though, the guy that broke in once is probably going to get a lighter sentence than the guy that's broke in 10 times, right? But my letter of the law, I'm treating them the same. They're getting a 40 caliber somewhere. They're going to hear it at least. So in that instance of George Floyd, and what I remember of the case, he had a pretty long rap sheet. Now, should they have just assumed that he was doing something wrong in that moment? No. And I do think that a lot of our police officers are trained what to look for, what looks apparent, and react. Maybe there should be some tweaking there. And I have a friend who's a sergeant here locally, and he worked for Birmingham, and he and I have talked about that. And Birmingham changed some of the, the putting the knee on the neck to subdue, like a lot of that stuff changed, right? But some of it is based on just who the police officer is and just their nature.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just overly aggressive jerks, right?
Yeah.
But in the event of somebody has a rap sheet, and I know they have a rap sheet, and it looks like they're doing the same thing they've always done, I have to treat them the same way.
Yeah.
Now there are things about that case that I feel like those officers could have done differently.
Yeah.
But things that I heard and I read were the same MO. He always screamed, "I can't breathe." He always screamed, "The cuffs are too tight." He always, you know what I mean? So it's hard to take somebody serious whenever you cry wolf all the time.
Exactly.
But on the flip side, it's still a human being.
Yeah.
You should try. You've got him subdued at that point.
Yeah.
He's in cuffs. Make it comfortable for him. As comfortable as you can.
Let me add one more thing to the mix. I had lunch yesterday in Huntsville with a police officer.
Rich.
And
lunch. Huntsville. Rich.
I almost lost my drink when you said lunch.
You actually eat food?
What do you mean you get a second meal?
Okay, Oliver Twist. More, please.
Can I be a little more so?
But I was actually telling him about our podcast, and one of the biggest takeaways is, man, give somebody the benefit of the doubt. And I can unpack that with other things about our social media feeds and how it's two total polar opposite things. You think you're looking at the same thing, you're not. But I was talking about, I'm learning, give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Biggest takeaway. And he was like, man, that's so contrary to my entire job. Oh. He said, my job, I am trained to do the opposite. I have to be extremely skeptical. I have to think they're obviously lying. They're trying to get away. They're hiding this. He said, if I don't think that way, if I don't have my guard fully up, it could be my life.
Sure.
And he talked about how it's hard going from that job to home to a wife and turning it off.
Yeah, the adrenaline.
And being skeptical of her and what she's doing and what's going on in the home front. And he said it's a hard switch to turn.
And I can see that. My buddy, while he trusts people, he doesn't trust people.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
If you're trained to have that, and then, here's the local felon. Here's the guy who's rough. Here's the guy that does this. Oh, here we go again. Rodeo number, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have empathy for that situation. I wouldn't want that job.
No.
I wouldn't want that job. My main point of all of this, I'm not justifying his aggression. I'm not justifying the way he handled that. And definitely it's sad, the aftermath, he died. That's horrible. So should have this gone differently? Yes. Do we know for certain that the motive was racism? Of course not.
Right.
We don't know his heart. We don't. I think the problem is people think the only way I could behave that way is if I was a racist pig. So obviously he's a racist pig. And I think that's just
that's not an accurate statement.
I think it mostly got painted as a race thing because, like I said, if it was me selling loose cigarettes, even if I was a criminal, I don't think I'd get treated that way. And if a circle of people with cell phones were watching a cop treat me that way, I don't think they'd continue. They
may have stopped there. I'll concede that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to concede on the fact that if you're a criminal and they know you're a criminal and they see you doing something, and because I've witnessed it, I can't say 100%, but I've witnessed people that I know personally get targeted because they had a bad past.
Yeah.
And they were this one person, white female. You know what I mean? She had been a known drug user and would get pulled over all the time. You know what I mean? And had been clean for years, so, and again, that's one situation. Right. But, and again, I can't say that that the officers there weren't motivated by race in some sort of way, form, or fashion.
No, that's true too. To full taxi cab confession, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know his heart, and it obviously could be that. But for anybody to say I know it was that, you are fooling yourself.
Well, we also know in that time though that was being pushed heavily. Race was being pushed heavily within the media, within social media. It's being pushed, and it, I think it's slowed down some. The whole Black Lives Matter movement, which we know how that turned out. We all knew what it was about to begin with. They didn't really care about black people; they cared about the money.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean.
The whole Black Lives Matter movement. You don't remember that?
I remember, but I don't know what you mean. Like it turned out.
Yeah, so money. It turned out they were money laundering. There's a lot of
Owens, I think, did a.
You can fact check me on that, but the two.
I think Candace Owens did a documentary on that, and I meant to watch it.
It come back to the money.
Yeah.
They had tax evasion, something else.
They did not use that money.
They didn't use it. Yes, they didn't use it what they intended to use it for. It may have started with good intent, but it ended badly. Which again,
anyone who's in a position of power is there because they either really want to help or they really like power.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's going to come back to power or money. Same thing with churches, right? Why do mega churches explode? Yeah. Well, I really think Kenneth Copeland started out genuine. I really do. And I pray that when he dies at 120, like God has told him he's going to, that he has repented. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the man up until at least today is pretty corrupt.
I wonder what could corrupt me. I literally think about that sometimes.
100%. Money changes people.
I don't know that it would. I would love to live in a hypothetical and go into the matrix and have the life and find out where my limit is and how much excessive power and luxury I have to have.
Well, you may be
I just flip a table.
May be
she's the unicorn.
That's what I say. You may be the unicorn.
She's the unicorn. So she's a professing atheist, but in my mind, when I compare her to some Christians I know, she's a better Christian than some Christians I know. She is naturally, she has a very natural heart, like I would think anybody that loves Jesus does. And that's why I say she's a big fan of Jesus. She just doesn't know it.
Yeah.
I've challenged her to look into it because she'd be a fan real fast. She does quote Jesus to me to convict me where she feels like I'm disconnected. She did on the ride down. She mentioned how that you do to the least of these you've done unto me, trying to preach to me. She's a preacher wannabe.
Do you look at her and say, "Get thee behind me, Satan"?
I should.
So I mean that's a good segue. Let me say this to finish up, and because I feel like we've spent way too much time talking about race, but
we solved that already.
Everyone wants three white people.
Right.
That's fixed.
Talking
so we
about
can go
race.
to the
right, 100%, because we know exactly what's going on. That's what they're going to say.
I wanted to say one thing.
Yeah.
Eric said something about you can't just go out there and assume everybody's a racist, kind of like you can't assume that and paint it with a brush. I feel like it's very similar to women who every woman has been sexually advanced upon inappropriately. And at least 1 out of every 3 has experienced actual sexual assault, not just verbal or whatever. A lot of it starting at the ages of 11 and 12. So any woman who is in a place where there are men in position of powers, if it's not that public, you have to. He's the worst.
What are you doing?
I'm flipping the tables like Jesus. I'm putting up for this. Women being violated. I'm going to fix it.
But any woman that is in a position where a man has power over her is doing math, just in general.
Sure.
And it's not that every guy's like that. It's I don't know if you're like that. And I think the same's probably for people of color. I don't know that you're racist, but I've been fooled before.
Well, I think the problem there, though, too, lies in the fact that you can't be racist if you're anything but white. White people are the only ones that can be racist, right? And I think that's where the stigma lies, is that all white people are racist. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's not true. All Chinese people don't know karate. You know?
I don't like that racism's our heritage.
Right, right.
Can't we get a martial art?
Right. But we know karate comes from the Chinese, right? I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a stigma that I feel like is just forced upon us, and I try. If I sat here and said that I didn't judge people based off their color, I would be a lie. I'd be a liar. But I try my best to not automatically think the negative about everybody. Yeah. There are things that it's like, yep, nope, I'm not going to go around that. I'm not, because I know from past experiences that's going to lead to this.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that it will.
Let me ask a nuance to this question, or to this topic of racism. If you have a positive attribute associated with a race, is that prejudice? Is that racism?
It's still kind of bad, but it's less bad.
I
mean, it's like saying, I want to bang all redheads.
It reminds me of an old Seinfeld. I think he was on the phone with like a Chinese lady, and he's like, she sounds so sexy or something. And it's like, you can't say that. That's racist. And well, if I like their race, how can that be racist? And is that true? If you say, white man can't jump, well, then who can? I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
But is that good? Is that a good stereotype?
I think the other part of it is we tiptoe and dance around things too much. We're too worried about offending people.
Because everybody's offended, though.
I mean, bottom line is black guys are better athletes than white guys.
They are.
But somehow that can get twisted as being negative. You know what I mean? It can be twisted as...
Well, because underneath, you are implementing a prejudice. You're prejudging based off of skin. So by definition, it's prejudice, which is equated to racism.
Right.
And othering. And
But I'm asking, is there a caveat? Oh, if it's a positive trait, it's acceptable. I'll say this, positive trait for Hispanic people. Best work ethic I've ever seen.
Sure.
Hands down. Hands down.
But now you're racist because all you do is hire them for cheap labor. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Win.
You can't win. And that's the problem. Like, if I want to hire my entire crew of to be Mexican or Hispanic or whatever, Guatemala, whatever. If I want to hire Hispanics, my entire crew, because I know that work ethic, I know they're good at roofing. I know they're good at doing sheetrock. I know they're good at painting.
Not just work ethic, skills.
But they have skill. Like, I know they're good at that. When people see me, they're going to say, oh, there's the white man taking advantage of the Hispanics for cheap labor, but yet I may pay them top dollar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My cousin has experienced that. He has a construction business down in Florida, and he hires a lot of Hispanics. But they're hard workers, but he pays them top dollar.
I was going to say, I think that's just a very common thing, especially, I don't know how common it is up north, but in the South, I know we have a lot of Hispanic laborers that kind of, some work off the books, and then some of them are, actually, in the system or what have you.
Yeah.
But
have you not looked at the immigration stats? It's all over America.
No, but I think people don't come to another country, to slack off.
Well, yeah, I mean, at one instance, so his sister married one of his workers, and love him to death. Amazing kid. He came over here illegally, but he was a lawyer in Mexico, or Guatemala, wherever he was from. He was a lawyer. Well, he came here illegally, but he did so because he knew if he stayed there, because of the profession he was in, he was mixed up into some cartel stuff, if I'm not mistaken, as far as the lawyer goes. His life is in danger. So he has to get away. Yeah. Well, he comes to America. Well, he can't go back to practicing law. So what does he do? You know what I mean? But, he had other skills and was able to do it. And I do know there are people that take advantage of those people, because they are illegal or because, I can pay them what I want because they have to bend the knee to me because, I'm their life source. But like, there are legit people out there that legit hire them off of just their skill. Has nothing to do with where they're from. It's their skill and their work ethic. But we're trained to see it that way. Again, the NBA. Well, if you're white, you can't go to the NBA. Well, that's not true. You know, it's not true.
There's been a few.
There's been a couple.
Entire history.
And you had white chocolate. I can't remember his name, but it doesn't make it true. But that can also be turned and looked at as negative. You know, well, they're just our workhorse. They're just there for our entertainment.
Yeah.
No, they're there. Freaking LeBron James is there and has played basketball for 20 plus years because he's a phenom. Not the GOAT, but he's a phenom. You know what I mean? But
he's
you know,
second only to another
Michael Jordan, right?
Michael Jordan.
But I don't respect LeBron because he entertains me. I respect LeBron because he's a freaking beast on the court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a crybaby. He's a whiner. I tell him that to his face. But he's a beast on the court, you know?
Yeah.
And we want to hang up on that way too much. And again, I do it with preachers, right? Every church that is large, no, he's a scammer.
Yeah.
He's a scammer. But that's not always true. You know, it's not always true.
So the takeaway, to me, the fix, give somebody the benefit of the doubt. If you don't know that their motive is racism, give them the benefit of the doubt and just hope that they're not and believe that they're not. And I bet you're right.
Yeah.
I think with people, the general rule I use is kind of like prepare for the worst, hope for the best. I assume anybody can be doing anything. And I joke that I have Schrodinger's outcomes in my head at all times. I joked with him on the way here. I was like, hey, we can't die in a car drive on the way down there. Because if we died, do you know how bad the dynamic of our family would change since we're the social planners?
I was like, oh, good point. Let's make sure we don't die then.
Yeah. And I was like, but like I literally, just getting ready today was thinking about me and Eric not being on Earth anymore. And
and Eric's driving, thinking about the condition of your soul. And now
he gets distracted. But so I always think worst case scenario, like a lot of times, all day, every day, like, oh, what if I got poisoned from this? What if I found out I had an allergy? What if just all the time?
Sure.
But I also only interact with what's in front of me. And
but the what ifs in life is what screws our life up, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if that dog bites me? I'm not going to get a dog.
But what if he's a good
But what if that dog changes my life?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. I think there's it's good to have a healthy dose of
I consider
being
the
a
risk,
skeptic, you know,
but I don't let it affect how I
your risk reward factor. And that's the thing. I think we're not willing to take the risk a lot of times because we're afraid of the outcome. And that's just not always the case. I have said for years, even though the Bible teaches differently, all man is bad, right? But I think people inherently are good, or the good is in them. Does that make sense? We only see the small percentage of the bad because that's what's put before us and put in front of us. And it just, I don't know. I wish we could get to a place where we just, number one, we could quit being so offended. Number two, we could just see people for people and don't hold. I mean, you can hold them at a distance, but don't not let them in because you're afraid of what they might do.
Yeah.
Well, what if they absolutely change your life? What if they hit it big and become a billionaire and they take you along for the ride? You know what I'm saying? Like that, there's a lot of what ifs out there.
I dated my husband for a year before I knew he liked me. We're married now, and he's the best spouse on earth.
Yeah.
But there was literally a year where I'm like, I don't know. I think he just doesn't have friends to go to the movies with. Like,
sure.
He said he wanted to go see this, and I'd go.
Sure.
But like, he just was so standoffish and like, just kind of quiet, kind of glib or whatever. And then he would talk about stuff and he'd be like kind of critical or negative. So I never felt like he was into me until we dated for like a year or so. And then all of a sudden he just barely opened up and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
You are a romantic option. I didn't know that. I thought this was just platonic hanging out.
And that's why I say I like what Rashad said was it's not about color. It's about our own fears and the dislike of someone else's culture or what they do. You know, what they like.
Familiar.
And what is said most in the Bible more than any message? I think it's do not fear.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't operate in a state of fear. In our show, the Olive Branch, one thing that we harp on continuously is confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance. And the way you think and believe, that determines how you feel.
Sure.
How you feel determines how you act. How you act determines your habits, and your habits determine your destiny and your legacy. And if you truly believe these white people, they're never going to give me a shot. The deal is you will find evidence to substantiate that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? And to me, it's not true. They're just a jerk, or they were just having a bad day, or they just gotten a
They
a
already
fight with
promised their cousin the job.
and they got displaced anger, and it has nothing to do with your race. I like her definition of confirmation bias. Tell me about lucky pennies.
Oh, confirmation bias is I'm very lucky because I find pennies on the ground all the time. But if you zoomed out with like a drone and actually found all the pennies in the city, I found like not even 1% of the loose pennies on the ground. But because when I see a penny, it confirms something I already believed, even though it's a negligible amount. I'm just reinforcing this one little weird belief I already had.
Sure.
Well, what's ironic with that is in reality, you're actually very poor at finding pennies.
Yeah. I'm not great at it.
Yeah.
But the belief is, hey, I
always find
I'm find those lucky pennies and look here. And the deal is, I think that's what's going on, I think, with racism. We think all these people are racist, and we find these reasons to substantiate that in our head and justify that belief. But you're wrong. You're 99% wrong.
Yeah.
Lesson here is stop looking for useless things. What's a penny get you? Nothing. They're not even in circulation anymore.
I was worried that was a personal attack for some reason. I was like, am I the useless thing?
Well, with me, it could have been.
Yeah.
It could have been,
No, I'm sure it would be me.
So